is bulking vaulted. That is the topic for today. I got asked to make this video by a guy on a comment in another video, so shout out to you, Cam. So bulking is one of the most misunderstood things in the fitness industry, health space, all that stuff. So a lot of people think bulking is just shoveling your face full of food all the time. That's one way to do it, but it is 1,000,000% the wrong way to. So in this video, I'm going to show you the right way. Over here, I've got a little quick diagram. This is going to be, a minute or two max. If you watch this is good enough for you, just skip the rest of the video. Okay, so this guy right here, he's really skinny, he's underweight. Should he bulk? Yes. This guy, jacked, huge shoulders, skipped legs, but who cares? He should probably not be bulking. There's some circumstances where he should. And then we got this guy over here, big tubby. Whew, man. No bulking for him. He doesn't get to bulk until he gets down quite a bit leaner. So that's the super simple thing with these amazing pictures, but I'm going to be going into a little more detail now. So bulking is actually really simple. All it is eating in a slight surplus, 200-300 calories over your maintenance. You'll gain weight over time. Similar to my cutting video that I made, 500 calories a day is a pound a week, so you're going to be doing about half a pound a week, maybe a little less, maybe a little bit more, depending on how big of a surplus you want to go in. Alright, so we're going to have whatever, cal in. Cal in, right, versus cal out, and that equals gain weight, which is what we want if we're bulking. Right, cal's in, cal's out, gain weight. So this right here, bulking. So like I said earlier, the biggest mistake people make is just shoveling food down their mouth thinking it's going to help them gain muscle, like an excess amount of food. That is not right. They might end up gaining muscle faster with all those extra calories, but they are also going to gain tons and tons of extra fat, which they do not need to do. Right, so I'm going to draw like a bar graph. This is proven data by an expert, me. So we're gonna have like a small surplus here. Small versus, and then we'll have the large one over here. So this black is going to be the muscle you gain on a bulk. So let's say you're bulking for 3 months, this much muscle, right? So yeah, that's the same amount of muscle, and then let's use a fatty color like orange. Orange is fat. So by using a small surplus, you gain whatever. You'll gain a little bit of fat, but by a large surplus, maybe even up to here, shoot. It's tons and tons and tons of extra fat that you're gaining for, look at that, same muscle. Right? So it's really not worth it. This diagram, I know this video, it's like, me just drawing on Microsoft Paint, but from my personal experience, I don't want to get into too big of a story, but I was 165 pounds my sophomore year. I bulked up to 205 by the start of junior season for football, and it was all fat. So it just, if anything, just made me slower and more unathletic. So there was really no point of doing it, right? So back to the video. So instead of eating thousands or even a couple hundred extra calories, most of you should aim for 2, maybe 400 max. Cam, 400 will be for you, okay? And this is cal's per day over maintenance. So I'll get into that. So simple little chart. We're going to have M, maintenance, LB, that's lean bulk, and then DB, dirty bulk. Right? So maintenance will have equal 2,500. Right? This will not be the same for everyone, so make sure you find that by using a TDEE calculator. You can gauge from there. So for the lean bulk, our goal from this video, 2,700, 2,900 calories a day. And then dirty bulk, we'll just say whatever, 3,500. That's probably what I was doing, at least if I was eating that. Probably 1,000 calories over, right? So this is the lean bulk zone. Important. So now we can get into the fun stuff, right? We can talk about some macros. So you got your protein, right? That helps build muscle. This is really simple, but it's basically what it does, right? And then we got carbs. That's your energy. Right, and then we got fats, which you just need for overall health. Jeez, this is hard to write on. Okay, so, and then we're gonna use a little pie chart. Right, so on a bulk, you want protein, right? So let's say a gram of protein, and we're gonna want like a pretty good chunk, pretend these are straight, pretty good chunk of protein. And then our orange we used for fat over here, so we'll continue to do that. We'll have, whatever, a third-ish, maybe a little, hopefully a little less carbs, or not carbs, sorry, fat. And then our carbs are energy, so we'll use yellow. You want lots and lots and lots of carbs, lots of energy to use, right? So yeah, that's the simple little chart. So how fast should you be gaining weight on this? Well, if we calculate it and we're doing 250 calories over TDEE per day, half a pound a week, right? That doesn't seem like that much, but it'll add up over time. 2 pounds of like actual weight, it's not just all fat added to your frame. That's like 24 pounds in a year if you were to bulk for a whole year, which if you're really underweight, it's totally worth it. It's a huge gain, especially if you're like 110 pounds, 130 pounds, going up 25 pounds, 24 pounds. That's substantial. It's worth it. Obviously it just takes time, like anything good. So, I guess by eating more calories, you're not going to magically add more muscle, but you're giving your body more resources too. Right, so we're going to have food. Turns into energy. ENE, that's energy, okay? Which turns into hard training. Hard training, which turns into what you want, the good stuff, muscle, right? Everyone wants lots of muscle. Right, so you need to make sure you are training extremely hard, right? Otherwise, it will just be fat. If you're eating in this maintenance or above maintenance and you're not training hard, well, really, if you're not training hard in general, you should not be watching this channel, I don't think. You got to understand that, right? Training hard is pretty much the best thing you can do for muscle growth, right? And then, obviously, fueling it adequately will make it so much more worth it. So, bulk the right way, hit your protein, train hard, gain the weight slowly, not too fast. I don't know if I can say that enough. Right, so remember, our goal by bulking should be to go from skinny to frickin' shredded, jacked, all the good stuff, right? So, lean bulking is the way if you need to bulk. And lastly, remember, if you're this guy, do not bulk. Go on a cut. Check out my other video on that. Cam, I hope you enjoyed this video. It took me like 5 tries at least to make.